Going on, everybody? It is Aidan Holt with the Elevated Agent Podcast. We're here with Taj. He's been crushing it in AI, and he has a lot to talk about today. So I'm super excited to welcome him in. The first question I actually wanted to ask you is, how did you even start getting into AI?
Yeah. First of all, Aidan, thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure. I'm happy that we connected on Instagram, and I'm excited to be here and talk about one of my favorite topics, AI, obviously. And how I first got into it. Well, when ChatGPT 3 first came out, that was like the big eye opener for me. Because if people even remember that far back, I think it was what, 3 years ago? Yeah, three and a half years ago or so. When it first came out, realizing that it could just, type out emails, maybe do some little essays and little short descriptions. That was just the beginning. Like, that was just the eye opener for me. I'm like, wait a minute, we can actually create content with this. And now it's going to get better after this point. And it's not just going to get better, it's going to get better faster and faster and faster. And that was like the big eye-opening moment for me, and realizing that, okay, people are going to miss this opportunity to really just dive into this and learn about LLMs, large language models, machine learning, and the history of it and where it came from, right? And that's kind of how I got thrown into it.
Yeah, that is similar to most of us, right? You kind of see the opportunities, and just for me personally, I was just blown away when I first got into ChatGPT. I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then it opened a whole new window of possibility. So leading on to my next question, which there's been a lot of studies and people talking about this because AI is fairly new, and it's how it affecting our brains. I see it as a completely different perspective, but it was a question before I actually started recording that it popped up in my head. What do you think of people saying that we are losing the creativity and of our mind and the adaptation? People in school are just getting people to write essays. They're saying we're losing a part of that. I have a completely different take, but I want to hear your take first.
No, I appreciate that question. This is the second time I've been asked this question today, because I was just out of high school doing some volunteer career coaching. And one of the ninth grade students actually asked me, well, what about the people that are losing the ability to their cognitive abilities using AI? And it's a valid point. However, the most important point here, and I think we brought it up right before we started chatting, is that what do people do with the time that they've saved with AI, right? Are they learning a new skill, or are they going to go watch movies or play video games? Not that that's a bad thing. Please, by all means, enjoy yourself, enjoy your life. But how you optimize your time in your life and work is what's really important here. And if people that are going to continue to learn a new skill, you're using your brain, you're learning new things. So in that sense, those individuals are not losing that cognitive capacity. They're using their abilities to go learn more about AI, go learn how they can apply that new skill to different areas or different industry sectors. And that's very powerful. I like to call it temporal optimization. It's how you optimize your time.
Yeah, totally agree. And another take I'm thinking about is, when I first got into AI, I already thought of myself as a pretty creative person. But this just unlocked a world, because now what you think about, you can actually be creating, go into it. And it's not just you say something and it gets finished. It's trial and error. At least what I found, you're constantly tweaking what you're building. You're constantly refining. So my brain is actually working more than most people would say about AI. So that's my take on it. Is I actually think it's enhancing our creativity.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, I love your take. I love how you actually got that question asked earlier, because I feel like not a lot of people are talking about the positives for your brain health, just the negatives.
No, you're right. One of the things I think I noticed at the schools too, and this is not to knock any teachers. There's a lot of brilliant teachers I've met that are encouraging students to use these creative abilities, use their imagination, use these tools like AI to unleash their creative powers. And props to them. And some are more on the fence and saying, hey, don't use it, right? And I think that's true across every single technological upbringing, meaning like when phones first came out, or even the internet. I remember when the .com boom happened and we weren't allowed to use the internet during school. We weren't allowed to use our phones. the teachers to say, don't, you can't use this, you can't use this. And now here we are, we're allowed to we're allowed to use it whenever we want. So I encourage people to, especially young students, to go out there and in a healthy and safe way, right? Obviously, listen to your parents, but in a responsible way, and learn how to use these new tools, right? Use your imagination and creativity.
Yeah, that's well said. So how did you start from being in the military? How did that all come about?
Yeah. Oh boy, this is a crazy. So I grew up in the United States, out of Philadelphia. I was born in Canada, but grew up outside of Philadelphia. I went to school, and then 9/11 happened. So I kind of aged myself there. I think I was like 11 years old when 9/11 happened, and I remember it like it was yesterday, because it was such a horrific event nationwide, worldwide, actually. Like, everyone was just like, oh my God. So after that happened, maybe, I'm not sure if you know if that was around your time, but like everyone was like gun ho. Everyone was like, all right, we're gonna go. Everyone join the military, join the military, go do this. And I had this like drive and urge to be in the military at that time, and I made it like my mission to like just train, and I wanted to be in the special operations. I trained my entire, from like 13 to like 19 years old. That's all I was training for. In fact, I put myself in military boarding school, Carson Long Military Institute, which is like the oldest military school in the United States. It's no longer around actually today, but I still talk to a lot of the people that I still went to school with there. And then from there, I went back to high school. I went back to, that was my freshman year in high school. And then I went back. My parents wanted me home because they missed me so much, right? And then I went back to high school. Went to a different high school, and in Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware, where I started like a military organization, a military club, so to speak, which was sponsored by the Delaware Army National Guard at the time. And I went to school, got into school at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go in the Air Force, right? I want to learn aerospace engineering. I want to be like Tony Stark. I want to learn how to build weapon systems. I want to learn how to build cool stuff. And I'm going to go learn aerospace engineering, and I'm going to be in the Air Force. So I had the privilege of like watching the last 2 space shuttle launches in person, running a lap around the Daytona 500, just doing all this cool stuff when I was in Air Force ROTC, so the Detachment 157. And needless to say, from there, I kind of, they told me I couldn't be an Air Force officer, a special operations officer in the Air Force, because they only select 4 every year from the detachment, and I was a Canadian. So they're like, oh, you don't qualify for security clearance. I'm like, gosh darn it. Needless to say, you could actually join the U.S. military as an immigrant. And at the time, I had my visa, and I joined the U.S. Army. I enlisted as an engineer. And I stayed in. I got my training done in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. And at that point, I had went back to the university, studied astronomy, geoscience, all the nerdy stuff. Like I got into like a NASA research program as a student, as a data analyst, and then I dropped out. Believe it or not, I dropped out of college because I got a job offer as a data analyst for a startup company. And I was like, wait, why should I just go to school? I'm going to get paid like money. I'm gonna get paid. Why should I just waste another year of tuition or 2 years of tuition? I could just start working. And that's what I did. I just started working. And it was the best experience, because like just getting thrown into like a work environment, and especially a startup space, because the startup space is like awesome, because there's always like new challenges. There's always something new to be solved. And at that time, we were trying to do a lot of automation too. And this was like over a decade ago. And it was a fun time. That's my military experience in a nutshell. At that point, I still work with a lot of close friends that are in the Department of War currently. They're doing some cool stuff in the 3D printing space. So 3D printing houses, 3D printing military bases. I think one of them might be working on something to print on the moon, which is freaking cool. Yeah,
that is cool. Yeah, that's wicked. I see you have some 3D printed aerospace things back there.
Dude, and, this is Neil Armstrong's glove.
Really?
Yeah, it's a replica. So NASA actually has they have a website where you can actually download the files for free for like all the different missions. This is the Starship. Everyone knows, I think, SpaceX, right? So this is the lunar module for for the Starship. So
Oh
this is
yeah.
what they're going to send to the moon. One of the manned missions to the moon are going to be in the Starship Heavy, hopefully, and that'll be cool.
And was that 3D printed as well?
Yeah, yeah. It's
That's,
all 3D printed.
that's wicked.
Not this drone. The drone's not 3D printed, but they are working on 3D printing drones.
Really?
Cool. Oh yeah, yeah. That's one of the things we're trying to do in the military, especially. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the Ukraine war and how drones have kind of proliferated in that sector, in that space, not in a humane way, I would say, but in a way that is the way of war. And there's a lot of counter UAS systems they're coming up with, so directed energy weapon systems to take out a lot of these drones. You may or may not have heard of or seen the pictures of the drones with fiber optic cables.
Yes, I
Right?
have.
Yeah, and that's because they were jamming. They would create bubbles of jamming zones, right, to jam GPS. But to counter that, they would just fly drones on fiber optic cables, and they would have like kilometers, like 5 kilometers long. Like I don't know what the longest one is, but it was nuts. Like the pictures are nuts. So how do you defend against that, right? And you see a lot of soldiers have shotguns, and those are probably the most effective ones, efficient. Now they're doing directed energy. Yeah, it's a wild space. I hate to say it, but like in a lot of military conflicts, you see a lot of the advancement in technology in the defense sector first, right? And then they get commercialized into the civilian sector, which is kind of what you saw after the Iraq War, Afghan War, and then you see all that technology kind of become commercialized into the civilian sector.
Yeah, they're getting forced to adapt, which unfortunate. It's those situations, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. So on that kind of note, what do you think of everything that happened? I would say like within the month of the Pentagon and ChatGPT and Anthropic and how they're using AI, and now on Anthropic is going through some stuff with that. What is your take on that?
Yeah, my take. I mean, I think based on my knowledge and what I know, what I've heard, what I read, like Anthropic wasn't bending the knee to the U.S. government. However, one of the issues, so it's just very interesting to look at. I try to look at it from both sides, right? You're like, okay, wait, why would the government want to be able to use like an AI to harm, humans in the sense, but you can understand why, obviously. But then why would Anthropic say no? We should have the only power to do that, right? So if you look at it from the outside, like a private company that has the power to do that has more power than the federal government, it kind of looks a little haphazard, right? So it's just I'm not saying one is right or the other is wrong. It's just kind of interesting to look at it that way. Like, who's right? Should the federal government have that power? I don't believe so. But should Anthropic have that power to have an AI that's capable of, literally just hacking the hell out of any system, any computer system that is there? And then of course, there was that leak that happened. So,
Yeah.
strange how that happened. Like right after that, I wonder.
The thing is, there's so much rapid advancement in the AI sector that who's handling all this and who's making guardrails. It's so fast that it's not catching up to as fast as it's progressing. So I think eventually it'll catch up, but right now it's every single day. Like as you see, you're probably constantly looking at what's new, right?
Yeah.
Like you see Google's new model that came out, like absolutely insane. That's how I saw your comment on that actually.
Yeah.
And you built like an offline AI, and then I'm like, whoa. And that just came out like a couple days ago.
Yeah, that's
2 days ago or something.
It's wild because like I remember like 2 or 3 months ago we were talking about edge computing, edge AI. Oh, that's the next thing. Oh, well, the next thing we're thinking like next year or like 2 years from now. And like 3 months, like, oh, hey, by the way, Google, here you go. Like, what? So now I can load a local model onto this thing, onto a Raspberry Pi, like Gemma 4 can, like the small version of it can go on this Raspberry Pi, and I can just go take it with me anywhere and access a large language model. Like that's, I mean, this is obviously probably a really crude way to do it. It's much easier to do it on this.
Yeah.
But just for fun, it's like, oh yeah, I have an agent on here. Why not?
It's so crazy how it just getting to this point. We don't even know what's happening next. Like it's every single day something crazy is happening. I love it. Like so a lot of people are scared of it, and I'm thinking it's a great opportunity, and it's so fun being a part of the journey of the people, the community of everyone who's super invested into it, and it's fun watching everyone just make different things and grow and learn about it because we're all kind of on the same page, right? Like we're all just trying to learn it. So how do you use AI in your everyday life?
Okay. Yeah. How do I use AI in my everyday life? Oh boy. I think I use it every day in my life. I do. So it's like, wait, how do I just stop living? How do I use it in my everyday life? I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with Whisperflow. So I've just been, it's such a transition to go from keyboard to just voice. And realizing that, and this is kind of goes back to a lot of the things I talk about, is like communication. Language is the most important skill. Communication, like it's human to AI and then AI to AI. But like talking, like we're talking right now, we're passing on more information than we could probably in an email or typing. Do you know 100%. What I mean? Which is wild. So Whisperflow, if the listeners don't know, like Whisperflow has just changed my whole view on like, it changes the whole game because I can think of something and just talk it, like I can speak it out loud into an actual prompt. I don't need to type. The keyboards are going to be obsolete in like 2 years. Like no one's going to use a keyboard.
Yeah, I recently got Whisperflow. I've been using it for about 2 weeks now, and it's just the way it reorganizes your words.
Yeah,
I'll be walking. I'm not sure if it's just me, or it's probably you as well. Ideas are constantly coming to my head about like things to add, things to build. So I'll just be walking or doing something random. I quickly pull up my phone, use Whisperflow, and I just say it. It's way faster than typing, and you can go back and just rephrase it. And having on the computer, so I'm a real estate agent as well, in the GTA. So how I've been using it is just when I text people, I use Whisperflow. It's just so much faster and more efficient. So yeah, I think it's a really good company. I love them a lot. So your company you have, how did you start that and why did you start it?
Yeah, so I used to work at McMaster University, and that I left there after, believe it or not, I left there after when ChatGPT 3 came out, and like I realized like, okay, the AI era is about to start, and I'm trying to like tell my managers like, hey, this is about to happen. We need to start doing something with this because we need to get our intellectual property up to par, and we need to get our research in like all ready to go and full steam ahead with AI. And they're all like, oh, this is a joke, right? Like they all think it's a joke. They all think it's, it's wrong all the time. I'm like, no, it's wrong sometimes, and it's not going to be wrong sometimes forever. It'll be better like next week. Watch. But needless to say, I left there because they were not really AI friendly, especially education systems aren't necessarily right now still, because the education sector is going to be completely flipped on its head because of AI. Needless to say, I started my own consulting business. I wanted to kind of start doing educational workshops in AI. I thought I'd, going to schools and actually sharing my knowledge on AI and where it was going to go would help maybe change a lot of the opinions of AI. It was a lot harder than I thought to get people to see the light of day in that sense. And but then I started realizing, wait, I can just start building stuff. And I was able to like just fine tune my skills with vibe coding and exploring different AI subscriptions. Like I think I spent so much money on different AI tools. I was like, I can take a business's workflow and then automate the entire chain, is like 80% of it. Even if it was like 10%, that's still a cost savings of time, and like convert that into like real world like invoices, right? And consulting. But I found my real passion in like public speaking and talking about this stuff and talking about where it's going to be like 10 years from now, which is it's even mind blowing too. It's like, it's very important to think about where it's going to be 10 years from now, especially if you're starting a business or if you're learning a new skill or if you're trying to find a job. We as humans don't really think about that far ahead, like where it's going to be. So how do you prepare yourself for that market? So yeah, that's how I kind of started the business in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I'm very similar to you in finding my passion and trying to teach people and share like what I'm building with AI and trying to educate people on this. As you know, I've been making videos for my whole life, but it's not really been like educational. And being in real estate, there's so much admin work. Like it's probably 80% admin work. You have to be a marketer, you have to do your paperwork. There's so much. So how it started for me is I was building tools to help me in my everyday life for commercial and residential real estate. And then all of a sudden it brought me down this massive loophole of building apps, building custom agents, building websites, building skills, automations, and leveling up my business where it's like an automation. For example, if I were to list someone's home, everything like the just listed fly, like everything's automated, and it's helping me and my clients especially, and finding my passion and trying to tell people like this is what's possible, educating
Right.
people. This is why I love talking to people about it as well, and why I reached out to you, because I just want to spread the word about AI and everything that's possible and learn as much as I can as well. Just such a big passion. So I'm glad you responded to me. So yeah, appreciate that.
No
But
problem.
what do you think if someone's watching this video right now and they're looking to get into AI and they're not too sure what to do or what they want to dive into? What would you recommend? Someone new, like if they had 30 days.
Yeah. It's funny because so people ask me this, like, hey, I don't know what AI can do. What do I do? And I'll be like, well, ask the AI, what can it do? But I mean, it's literally that easy. It's that simple. It's like, wait a minute. Treat it like it's a person. Treat it like you're communicating with an intelligence that is more intelligent than you, because it is in most cases. It doesn't have the intuition, doesn't have the imagination yet, right? That's down the road. But where your creativity comes into play, where your imaginative thought comes into play, is how you're going to communicate, how are you going to initiate the conversation with the AI. Like thoughts will come to your head, like, oh, I have a think about problems that you have in your life, like day-to-day daily problems, things that cause you headaches, things that cause you takes a lot of time, right? On the computer, perhaps take those little tasks and ask the AI, like, how can I make this shorter? How can I save some time here? How can I make this less of a headache for me? Sometimes it's that simple. Just start the conversation and go with it and see what you get back. I think one of the most important things, especially if you're gonna do this in 30 days, I'm sure a lot of people know like the whole, well, this is why I don't use ChatGPT, by the way, but like, and some LLMs do this too, but ChatGPT will make you feel good about your answers. It'll tell
Yes, man.
it'll tell you you're freaking awesome, which is such BS. Like the number one thing I would tell you to tell it is like off the get-go, don't ever tell me I'm right. Tell me why you're saying what you're saying. Provide me with validation. Provide me with logical reasoning as to why you're providing me the answer you are. That forces the model to think back on its answers. So that's a very important tip, especially if you're going to start a communication channel with any AI. Just get it to think more about what it's going to be giving you. And that's very powerful. And tell it, be like, hey, I want you to give me like 4 or 5 bullets as to why you said what you said at the end of every prompt, at the end of everything. And then read it. Don't skim over it, read it and be like, oh, okay, that's why it said it.
Yeah, that's great advice for everyone, because you don't want a yes man. You're
Yeah.
not gonna get anywhere. Or if it's a really bad idea and it's telling you to go for it, right? You want someone who's going to be real with you, and you can actually train. Yeah, like you were saying, you can train whatever AI you're using. Also, another reason I don't use ChatGPT anymore for the big ideas, right? Because it does have a habit of agreeing and saying, yep, awesome. So yeah, that's great advice for someone. Have you heard of I'm sure OpenClaw?
Oh yeah.
Have you looked into it at all?
Yeah, I had it installed on my local system just to play around with it and trying to go through the process of installing it from a believe it or not, I'm non-technical. And it was just a headache just for me as a non-technical person to do it. I was able to do it eventually with the help of another AI,
Oh yeah.
which is ironic. But it's interesting because OpenClaw at the time it wasn't the first of its kind. A lot of people don't realize this. Like that's not the first terminal agent. Like Manus was the first terminal agent. That was like 2 years. That's 2 years old. You
Yeah.
know, that was on a VPS. Like that was a Chinese company 2 years ago, and they just got bought out by Meta.
Yeah, and
then,
they can't leave the country. You see that?
yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, that's another topic. It's like the race to AGI. That's why we're not seeing regulation, because as soon as you start regulating, we're going to slow down. We're going to lose the AGI race. I mean, the Manus, and then the other terminal operator is Google Antigravity. And I've kind of done a whole. I've been using Manus for like the last 2.5 years. I think it was like one of their not one of their first customers, but it was like when they first started out. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is cool. What's this thing? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like why am I using ChatGPT?
Yeah.
It was eye opening. So, needless to say, my point is that Clawbot wasn't the first instance. But Clawbot is the first open source one, right? And it went viral, right? Because it was free. And it's not necessarily free because you still have to pay for tokens, and there's a cost behind it, right? But now that you have this edge computing stuff, that's a whole nother can of worms. I'm a big fan of Google Antigravity. So if anyone is not using Google Antigravity, and look, it's gonna cost too. In my opinion, it's worth the cost. I'm paying like $200 a month for it, but I can build at scale with that. Like I can build anything with it. It's nuts.
Yeah. So I kind of want to pick your brain a little bit about anti-gravity. So I use Visual Code Studio. I've used that a little bit, but I'm mainly using the terminal on a Mac Mini to run everything. So what would be if I were to get anti-gravity? How would that help me?
I don't think anti-gravity. It loads it. It's installed on your local system, but it doesn't operate off like your GPU power. It doesn't. Nothing's like run locally.
Okay.
It's all run over the cloud. Like you can pick your models too, similar to OpenClaw. You can pick Gemini 3 Pro. You can pick Opus 4.6, Sonnet 4.6. There's a couple other models as well that are available. I usually alternate between Gemini 3.1 High and or Pro, and then Opus 4.6, depending on what I'm trying to do. And this is what I call an AI stack, right? Because you're kind of making a sandwich with this AI. Like, what do you bring down the funnel first? Excuse me. What do you bring down the funnel? You gotta prime the engine first. You gotta prime the context window with what you're trying to build, and then have it spit it back at you first. Meaning, like, I'll build a whole file directory, a file folder with documentation on what I'm trying to build, how I'm trying to build it first. Right? I won't do a one shot like, oh, 0 to build right away. I'll put in context in a file folder first, right? And then I'll have anti-gravity read the folder and spit back out to me what it thinks I am trying to build. I'll force it to tell me what it thinks that I am trying to build. And if it misses anything, it usually doesn't. In fact, it actually is like, it provides me with like advice on how to make it better, which is nuts. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't think about that. So I call that like priming the engine, so to speak. And then it'll create an implementation plan, and I'm like, all right, execute. And it'll go and build the damn thing. It's nuts.
So what kind of things are you building with anti-gravity?
There's a couple of things. I actually built I built a cool one. There was like text to orbit. I don't know if you saw that one. It was like it was pulling some NASA data, because NASA has a free API where you can pull in like orbital data. And I was like, dude, no one's building like these cool calculators. Did you like, when I studied astronomy, like you could go online and they have these online calculators, and they were just ugly as hell. You know, they look like they were from the late 90s, which they still do. And I was like, I want it to look cooler. I want it to look like more like modern. So I just had like Antigravity go understand the code from the calculator and build its own visualization. And now it looks like, I call it text to orbit, and you just type in, I want to go to Mars like next week, and it'll just calculate the orbital dynamical equations or whatever. I'm not a mathematician, so but that's the point. It's like, wait, it's doing stuff that I don't know if it's right or not.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it says it did it. It's good.
You just have the idea, and now we can actually build it with AI. Now the opportunities are endless there. So who are you following in the AI space to just learn and learn off of? Who are you following?
Yeah, there's a lot of people. This is actually funny because I've had this thought experiment. I don't consider myself like a content creator necessarily. I love creating content, but who I'm following specifically, Greg Eisenberg's a great one who I started following. Great tips. I'm actually going to share something pretty sick because this is a trick that I don't like share this openly, but it's like, it's pretty cool. And I encourage people to watch stuff. You're going to get all the free information you want on like Instagram and like Facebook and YouTube, because content creators are always trying to race to be the first ones to say something, to find something new for free. Yeah. It's like they're giving out free information and knowledge. I'm like, that's amazing. I'm happy, but like, I can have my AI scrape the entire web for like the latest and greatest, and then provide me with a synopsis of like, oh, by the way, so-and-so just like gave away these secrets of like doing this and this and these cool tips. And here's the GitHub repo. Do you want me to go build this? So like, seriously, people need to like think outside the box. I'm not saying it's wrong, but like think outside the box. Like, instead of like, I'm not saying don't watch YouTube videos, like watch them obviously, but I'll have my AI agent go and watch YouTube videos for me. Like it'll go watch the YouTube video. And I'm not even kidding. Like it'll go watch it and be like, oh, okay, cool. I learned this new thing.
Yeah. Like you say, go watch this video. What do I need to know? Or what can we implement? Or like, you don't have to watch, a 30-minute video. So yeah, no, that's great. I definitely give that guy a follow. And I do use it where it's automated email me, at like 7 a.m. daily on all the new AI updates. So I can kind of have like a what's happening. But yeah, Instagram, just scrolling Instagram, everyone's just sharing everything. So that's great as well.
Yeah. Another good one on YouTube is AI Grid.
Okay.
He's a good one. He's always on top of stuff. Yeah. Those are good ones.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I don't want to take too much of it. Maybe down the line we could meet in person and talk a little bit more, because you're not too far from me.
Yeah, happy to do that. Happy to connect in person. I'm going to be doing a couple workshops in the Toronto area actually in the end of April. And then I'm doing we're debuting one of my startups in Toronto probably end of May. I'm going to be doing a big presentation in Toronto somewhere. I got to figure out where. I got to find a place. Actually, in fact, if you know anyone that rents out or does like any attorney offices or anyone that wants to like rent out their space for like a mini conference or something, that'd be cool. Let me know.
Yeah, I have a couple.
Start asking around.
I got a couple places for lease in downtown Toronto. Yeah, but they're mainly office space. We do have a huge studio space. It's 5,400 square feet.
Oh, it's a lot. Yeah, that's big.
And it's very cool. I'd have to add, they do day rates sometimes as well, but we're looking for like a 3 to 5 year lease. I'll see if I'll send it to you anyway.
Let me know if you want to do some type of like co-sponsorship, and like we can like have them. My co-founder is like a big time New York City cat, so he would be flying in. He'd be bringing some of his friends. He has a lot of high end connections in Toronto, so we'd be probably making it pretty public. So if that's something we want to collab on, I'm happy to see what we can do. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Well, if I can't find anything, I'd still love to attend events and show some support and meet you in person. And I guess we'll stay in contact, and you can let me know a couple of dates. So how can anyone watching this video support you and support your business?
Well, I have. I'm actually. So you mentioned OpenClaw. Me and my co-founder actually created something called agentlaunch.dev, which gives you the ability to essentially build an entire business around yourself, full of AI agents. So you're the orchestrator, and then the AI agents actually form around you. So you have like your chief of marketing, your chief of, whatever, innovation, et cetera, et cetera. Like you can have all these agents that spin out sub agents that build an entire empire around yourself. And we've already heard of like the first person to have like the one man, $1 billion company. So we built the platform that will actually allow you to build an entire business around yourself. Like you don't need to hire anyone. You could have a digital employee. So that's called agentlaunch.dev. And we have a wait list right now for the beta, and I think it's going to be launched very soon. And we're just fine tuning some things. And anyone can find me on Instagram, Tachyon Taj, Tachyon Taj. I have a lot of my presentations on YouTube as well. So just search up Taj Sarin, and I'm on LinkedIn as well, Taj Sarin. I'm pretty prevalent on LinkedIn. I like to make some waves on LinkedIn.
Perfect. We'll make sure to get all your information down in the description and any captions and your new business as well, so people can go do that. It'll save everyone a lot of time, right? You've already built the tool, and they can kind of just go in and do that stuff. So yeah, if you want to send me an email or Instagram DM me the URL and stuff for that, I'll make sure to include that.
Sounds good. I'll do that right now. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, and yeah, well, thank you so much for your time again. That was amazing. Learned a lot, and I'm sure everyone else learned a lot. And yeah, make sure everyone go follow him, and he's got it figured out. So
thanks, Aidan. I appreciate your time.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope everyone has a great day. We'll see you in the next one.